Good morning, everybody, and welcome to part 3 of our career planning workshop. It is so nice to have all of you here with me today, as usual. I'm just going to get us started by bouncing out here. Let's skip forward. Give me a second. So just a reminder, everybody, today's topic is career planning part 5. We had just finished going through step 2, which was the discussion on what do I need to know. So today, I think we should be good. Nope, not the picture I used. One sec, guys. Went through all of those. No cheating, no cheating. Don't peek. Okay, almost there, almost there. It's usually easier to pick the slide, but when I'm on a computer, it's a little different. Through my email, because it's not the PowerPoint. It's not on my computer. So I'm just skipping through till I reach my announcements for today. Perfect. So again, good morning everyone and welcome to today's workshop. This week's topic for workshop is career planning part 3. We would like for you all to join us by clicking on, We would like for you to all join us by clicking on the video with the blinking purple border on our page, guys. So if you are watching the video with no blinking border, please join us above or below for the watch party. iPads have a problem with the watch party, so try to use a computer or phone instead to join us. Again, I want to thank you all for participating, no matter what time it is. You are all great and we appreciate you. Just to remind you all, workshops are usually supposed to be happening every Tuesday from 12 to 1 p.m. Right now, Tuesday workshops are happening between 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. That's the beauty of a video though. You can watch it anytime after it's posted. And every Thursday from 11 to 12 p.m. we have our discussion workshop. We also have a YouTube page where we post our videos weekly, guys. So if anybody knows somebody in our program who hasn't been able to access our videos outside of who we already know is unable, please let us know and we will give you or forward the link to you for our YouTube page. Also, please remember to like our video after watching it, okay? Now, let's get started with a review of last week's workshop. Last Tuesday, we discussed the second step/question of the career planning process, which was, what do I need to know? Under that question, there were other questions we had to answer, such as, what am I good at? So my question to you all today is, what are the 4 things you need to investigate to find out what you are good at? You have 2 minutes starting now. Okay, guys, thank you, thank you, thank you. Good job. So just a reminder, so the 4 things we need to investigate are skills, interest, values, and traits. These help us find out what we need to know about ourselves, okay? That's why we have to break them down and find out specifically what our skills are, what our interests are, what our values are, what our traits are, so that we can match that to the appropriate job. Okay. So today we are going to be continuing the discussion on step 2 of the career planning process. We are trying to answer the question of, what do I need to know? Okay? At this point, we have discussed the descriptions of each of the 7 occupational categories in detail. Not only in Tuesday's video, but in our Thursday discussion as well. The 7 categories we discussed were manual or practical category, crafts and trades category, scientific and technical category, creative category, social or helping category, business category, and the office operations category. Now, once we have figured out our values, traits, interests, and skills, and match them with the occupational category that you best feel you fit into, we then kind of compare and figure out, okay, do I fit here in this area, or do I best fit here in this area with my occupation, with like, would I fit best in this area with a category based off of my values, traits, and interests, or would I feel fit better in this area? Okay? And now we always know that there's some what ifs to that situation, right? What if this? What if that? What if this and that happens? So what if your summary of skills, interests, values, and traits doesn't match up exactly with an occupational therapy, the 7 that are listed here? You can pick a category or categories that seem to match up the most closely. So there's no specific science to this. If you feel like none of your skills, traits, values, or interests match up to any of the occupational categories that you see listed here, pick whatever you think is best suited for you. Now, if you match with more than one occupational category, that just means that you have more occupations to choose from. You can find an occupation in one category and a hobby or volunteer work in another. You should also know that many types of occupations fit into more than one category. What if you don't want to work in the category that's most suited for you, or that's a fit for you, so to speak? Even if your summary seems to fit a certain occupational category, nobody is saying that you have to work in this category. Make a choice based on your own values, needs, and feelings, guys. And if you don't understand anything that I'm talking to you about at all, who would you talk to? Me, your career counselor, right? And we can break down and go through your career investigation specifically. Now, as you start looking into occupations, think about the kind of industry you might want to work in. Keep in mind that there can be many different occupations within one industry. For example, in the healthcare and social assistance industry, there are licensed practical nurses, chiropractors, and dentists. There are licensed practical nurses, chiropractors, and dentists. Most of us are familiar with these occupations. There are also many other health-related occupations such as athletic therapist, chiropractic assistant, pharmacy assistant, food and nutrition manager, medical office assistant, and hearing aid practitioner. All of these health-related occupations have their own education and training requirements. The workers do different tasks. When you are looking at one occupation, you may discover that another occupation in the same industry suits you better. Keep an open mind and you may be pleasantly surprised by the possibilities. There are just some of the related occupation. So I'll just go through the chart that they have here. So in the healthcare and social assistance industry, some examples of occupations in that area would be child and youth care worker, dentist, creative art therapist, emergency medical personnel, manager of volunteer resources, recreation coordinator, and a dietitian. Under the computer industry, there would be computer network administrator, webmaster, computer service technician, customer support analyst, automated system technologist, electronic video graphics operator. Then in the environment industry, we would have positions such as park warden, chemical engineering technologist, biochemist, environmental auditor, forest technician, hazardous waste management technologist, public health inspector, municipal recycling truck driver. These are just some of the related occupations and industries where people work. And there's a whole bunch more, guys. Do you need some help or somebody to talk to? You've been working with me through this booklet on career planning for a little bit now. Over the last 3 weeks, we've been going through it. So I'm guessing you guys have done some thinking and you've asked yourself some important questions and learned about yourself and some occupational choices. So we've come quite a long way so far. Now may be a good time to talk to somebody. If you need help and live in Alberta, call the Alberta Career Information Hotline. Call the Alberta Career Information Hotline. They can answer your questions or direct you to the nearest Alberta Work Center, Alberta Supports. Now for you guys, instead of going to Alberta Works and Alberta Supports, you would just come directly to us here at EPSS because we actually provide you guys with quite a bit more support than you would be able to get at Alberta Works, right? And that is why you are part of our employment program. Just to let you guys know, there are a lot of programs in Alberta, but this one specifically here at EPSS doesn't only give you the tools that you need to maintain and find a job, but we also help you guys do those things. We help you look for work. We help you make sure that you stay in your position. So utilize your job specialist at your place, right? Utilize us here at Employment, Placement, and Support Services so that we can help you to the best of our ability. Perfect. Now, moving on. We have now made it to step 3, everyone. What are my best choices? So far, we have read about Joe and Feely and how they reached points in their lives where they wanted and needed to change. Yes, okay. They did 2 things at first. They stopped and looked at their lives. They found out about some career options. Then Joe and Feely had to decide which career option suited them best. And remember, Joe and Feely are the 2 individuals that we have been discussing throughout the career planning process. They have been talking about their career planning process and what they had to do to make the decisions to get where they needed to be in their careers. So, at this point, we have done the same things as Joe and Feely. In step 1, we discussed where I am right now. That's where you discover why you are career planning. You learn to stop and look. Then, in step 2, we discuss what do I need to know. In that step, we learned about your skills, interests, values, and traits. We also learned about the many types of occupations, and hopefully you guys have been able, and actually you guys selected some occupational categories to explore further when we had our discussion on Thursday for those of you who participated. So thank you for that. Now in step 3, what are my best choices? We will move another step closer to choosing an occupation. This is where you find out whether the occupations you are considering will fit your needs. You will take a look at the many choices in your occupational group. We will do research and talk to people in regards to these occupations of interest. Finally, after some time and effort, hopefully you guys will be able to choose an occupation that you would like to pursue. Okay. Now, in order to complete step 3, you'll want to ask yourself some other questions. How do I find out more about the occupations that interest me? What information do I need? Am I still interested? And which occupation will I go for? To make a good decision, you need lots of information. The process of getting more information is called research. Research is really just a matter of asking questions and getting answers. Why is it so important to ask questions and do research? Think for a minute about what automotive service technicians do. They used to be called mechanics. Do they just spend time working on the engine? Or is there more to it than that? Most automotive service technicians must know how to use computers and other electronic equipment. Some of that equipment is used to test vehicles. Other electronic equipment is part of the vehicles themselves. Automotive service technicians today have a lot more to deal with than they did in the past. This is just one example, but as you can see, an occupation may have more to it than meets the eye. By doing research, you'll find out all you need to know about an occupation to help you decide. Oh, that's my phone. Sorry, guys. So, our next question is, how do I find out more about occupations, right? Because that's what we're asking next. How are we going to find out more about occupations? How are we going to get our research done here? Okay, sorry guys. So, how do I find out more about my occupations? Who do you talk to? You have to ask the right people or you might not get the most useful answers, okay? When you're researching occupations, the best people to talk to are workers in the occupation that you're interested in, career counselors, which means me, guys, or Jennifer, or Sadie, or representatives of educational institutions that offer training in the occupation. There are a number of places you can go to get information about occupations. These include Alberta Work Centers, Alberta Work Support Centers. These centers are all over Alberta. Call the Alberta Career Information Hotline to find out which one is closest to you. At these service centers, you can find resources to help you make a decision about your career. Schools. These include public and private colleges, universities, technical institutes, and private vocational schools. Many junior and senior high schools also have information about occupational choices. Then we have community agencies. Many organizations and agencies provide career-related information to specific groups of people such as youth, Indigenous peoples, women, immigrants, people with disabilities like EPSS, people over 45 years of age, people receiving income support, and people receiving employment insurance. I apologize for the pauses throughout today's workshop, guys. I didn't have any questions for you this morning throughout, so every once in a while I may have to stop to reply to a message from a client or from a guardian or from a parent. Please excuse me if that happens. Usually it only takes me about 10 seconds to handle it, and then we can continue on. So back to where we can find information about occupations. So professional associations and unions. These organizations have information on specific occupations, including education and training and certification requirements. Professional associations and unions can also tell you how many people are working in a particular occupation. Workers in the occupation. It's a good idea to talk to someone who actually works in the occupation you are interested in. Some ways to do this include finding people you already know who work in the occupation, asking your friends, family, or neighbors if they know someone, asking at a workplace that employs people in that occupation. Then there's the Alberta Career Information Hotline. The hotline is a free telephone service. You can call it from anywhere in Alberta with your questions. See the resource, and I will provide any questions you guys have about the Alberta Career Information Hotline, as we do have the resources here. Alice Alberta is also a really good source that we use for all sorts of information on occupations, career planning, educational programs, and job opportunities. We've actually created this workshop based off of the career planning workbook that Alice has. They have a lot of really good information, a lot of really useful information that's helpful. So, what information do I need? As you do your research, you need to get answers to some important questions. What are my occupational choices? What does a worker in this occupation really do? How should I narrow my choices? What else should I know about this occupation? Will this occupation meet my needs? So, what are my occupational choices? Oh, sorry. Let me just jump to my next slide first. So what are my occupational choices? In step 2, we saw some examples of occupations in each of the 7 broad categories, but there are many, many more types of occupations within each group. So you can always ask us, your career counselors, about other possibilities. You can also go to the alice.alberta.ca /OCC info to find over 560 occupational profiles. Now, for some of you guys who have gone through the career planning workbook with us last year, you would definitely know where to find the 560 occupational profiles that are online on the Alice Alberta website, as a lot of you guys had to use that last year to go through and pick 5 occupations that you felt you would be best suited for. So that's where you were able to read through the occupation possibilities, write down which ones really interested you, and then come up with 4 or 5 of those positions. Now, after you've looked at your list of occupations, the next step is to do some research. Maybe you already know quite a bit about some of these occupations. Maybe you only know a little bit about others. You shouldn't choose one just because you already know about it. And even if you know a lot about an occupation, new technology may have changed things. To make a good career decision, you'll want to find out as much as you can by doing some detailed research. You need to do the same research for each occupation. So there's ways to research. You can do 3 main kinds of research as you look into possible occupations: online and paper, people and participation. Okay? Online and paper research involves going to sources of information such as websites or public libraries. You usually write a lot of things down, bookmark pages, and read through a variety of material. Online and paper research is a good first step in researching specific occupations. Social media websites are generally used for connecting with friends, but they can also be used to let your contacts know you're looking for work. Many companies and organizations join these websites and post job openings on their pages. People research Excuse me again, guys. Okay. People research is a more personal way to research occupations. It is an important part of career planning and involves talking to people who actually work in the occupations you are interested in. Talking to people is a good way to confirm information you have already collected. You can also get answers to questions that may not be available in printed material. Participation research takes your research one step further. It involves participating in the occupation you are interested in. Volunteering is a great way to test out an occupation, or at least an occupational category. You can also look into job shadowing as a way to learn more about a particular occupation. And again, there's always a whole bunch of places that can help you with your research in these areas. Now, because I didn't make a slide with a question for you guys today, I think today I'm going to just slip one in, because I know quite a few of you have participated and are participating in volunteering or job shadowing or work experience or etc. So my question to you guys is, what do you do for volunteering? And do you like what you do for volunteering? And for this time, I'm going to give us a 3-minute span of time, as like I said, this is the only question I have for you guys today during workshop. So guys, let me know, what do you do for volunteering, and do you like it? Is it something you would do for work? You have 3 minutes starting now. There we go. All right, everybody. I'm pretty sure that's a good 3 minutes there. So, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. I'm sure I've made multiple comments in our message box during our watch party. So, again, thank you guys for sharing. So, moving forward now, we're going to talk a little bit about the value of volunteering, right? Because there is a value in it. Big time. Volunteer work can help you move closer to your career goals. Maybe you coach basketball at the youth center, or you help look after children in your community. No, you don't get paid, but you can learn some important skills that may be useful in getting work in the future. Many employers have a space for volunteer activities on their application forms. They consider volunteering to be an important part of a career. For people who have been out of the labor force for a while, volunteering can be a bridge to new work opportunities. Some people have even turned their volunteer jobs into paying jobs, which is usually what we try to do with you guys, especially when it comes to job carving and creating positions for you guys, but it's not always as easy as that, unfortunately, especially with today's world. But you never know. One foot in the door is better than no feet at all. Volunteering can also be a way to explore different occupations. You can't volunteer to be an actual veterinarian, but you could explore occupations in the agricultural industry by volunteering at a zoo. Or you could explore healthcare occupations by giving your time at a hospital. Job shadowing is another way to research an occupation. When you job shadow someone, you observe him or her at work. By spending some time on the job, you get a better understanding of what the work involves. You can set up job shadowing with workers in the occupations that still interest you after you have done all your research. Many possibilities. It will take some time to do this research properly, guys. The purpose here is to find the best occupation, not the first one that suits you. You have hundreds of possibilities to choose from. Give yourself time to think about what you are learning. So when we had done this assignment, I noticed that some people had gotten quite frustrated at the fact that you had to do all of this research in regards to what occupations and doing reading into what would be of interest. Please remember, guys, you are in an employment program because you are interested in looking for work, right? And all of these things, all of these tools, all of the things that we've provided you is to help you find the best fit of job for you, right? Being people with disabilities, there's a lot of things that happen or come up. So you want to find an employer that is understanding. You want to find an environment where you feel comfortable, but that you can also fit into, right? Because a whole bunch of places aren't always going to make a bunch of changes for us, especially now in this day and age. But if we find the right environment and the right people who are willing to work with us, and we're willing to be a part of their team, just like they're willing to make you a part of theirs, then usually that's a successful situation. And I love to see it when that happens. And quite a few guys do have setups like that, so it's very, very, very awesome to see. For those still looking, hopefully we'll find you some place like that soon enough. So, how do you get information from a worker? Always phone first and ask if he or she has time to talk, if that's the way you're going. Be polite. Make it clear that you are not asking for a job, you just want information. Ask for a short appointment, about 15 minutes. Ask about related occupations. Thank the worker for his or her time. Send a thank you note if you feel comfortable. So the same way we kind of had to market you guys out to employers is the same kind of way you would want to market yourself for an occupation. Every once in a while, it's okay to just go in and find out about a job if you are interested in the job. You don't always have to go into a business and say, hi, I'm looking for a job, can you hire me? No, it's okay to ask questions about that job, find out more information about the job, because the more information you have, the better suited you are to decide whether or not that position is going to be best for you. Okay? So, most important deal. Perfect. Let's move on. How do I narrow my choices? My, oh my. So, now that you have done your research on your chosen occupations and have answered all the questions that you can in regards to getting the answers you need, we can now start narrowing down your choices. But remember, you will need to finish your research by answering the two questions of, what does a worker in this occupation really do? And what should I know about this occupation? You should do this research again, guys, for at least 4 to 5 occupations so that you have a list of options. So, and if at some point, when you've gotten to this point, you've chosen occupations that you're not really interested in, or again, you find that occupations that you pick don't really fit your skills, interests, traits, and values, go back, take a look, pick some other choices. Okay? Personal needs. All people have needs. For some people, doing something worthwhile is more important than making lots of money. For others, personal enjoyment is the strongest need. Needs often change as people's experience and circumstances change. When your family is young and depends on you for food, clothing, and shelter, you might need a job that pays well. You may need work with lots of stability. After your kids have left home, your needs might shift toward personal enjoyment or opportunities to try something different. Needs are often similar to values, but they include other things as well, such as needing to be home with your kids after school, needing to stay in your community near your family. Each of us must balance our personal desires and our responsibilities as well as we can. We will still see some needs as stronger than others. Pay attention to your needs, guys. When you are choosing an occupation, pay attention to your needs. For example, your skills and interests may fit into the manual or practical occupational group. But if you have a strong personal need to help people, maybe you can put your occupational group and your needs together. For example, you could drive a bus for people with disabilities. Decide on your priorities. Sherry wanted to change her career path so her children would have a better future. She was tired of working in low-paying jobs that seemed to go nowhere, but she hadn't finished high school. She really wanted to try something new and start on a fresh path, but there were so many occupations out there. She didn't know where to start. A big concern was that she was a single parent and her kids were still so young. What kind of occupation could she go for and still give her kids the attention they needed? Sherry also needed an occupation that would not require a lot of training. Sherry met with a career counselor. They spent a lot of time talking about what Sherry needed in an occupation. Deciding on her priorities helped narrow down the choices. Sherry got a little bit closer to making a decision. Okay? So, one second, guys, 1 second. Just want to make sure I don't miss anything here. Yep, perfect. Awesome. So, after you've kind of figured out what your personal needs are in regards to a position and some examples of you finding out what needs would be met, you would want to ask yourself questions such as, will I make enough money doing this work? Will you be happy doing this work? Will you be learning and growing if you do this work, right? So those are some questions that you would ask yourself to see if an occupation would fit your needs. And the list can go on, and you can ask yourself any questions in regards to any concerns that you would have if you were to be starting off with a new position, right? So when you are trying to figure out if a particular occupation is going to fit your needs, you need to ask yourself questions on whether or not this job will provide a healthy work-life balance. As I had just mentioned in the story with this lovely lady, Sherry. So, at this point in time, what I know, we finished the detailed research on each of the occupations that you would have been looking into. So this would be a good time to stop and summarize what you know so far about those occupations. Now, after you've done that, you would make a list of the good and not so good things about each occupation that you had picked and had done research on. Along with other information you've collected, you can also, a summary that you create will also help you decide what occupation may be a good choice for you. Okay? So look at the negatives and the positives, the bads and the goods of each of the jobs that you pick for yourself and each of the decisions you make for yourself in employment. Okay? So after you figured out if an occupation is suited for your personal needs, you should then make a list of negatives and positives of your jobs of choice. There we go, just had a typo. So, which occupation will you go for? You've researched some choices, you've talked to a career counselor, which would be me at this point. You've talked to people who work in the occupations that interest you at this point. You've been collecting information and getting answers to important questions based off of the 3 steps that we have gone through at this point. You've thought about what is good and not so good about the occupations you are still considering. You've taken many steps toward actually choosing an occupation. Now you're ready to make the decision. After you've made the decision, awesome. That's the place that you want to start applying and focusing on. That's the place where you want to focus on deciding on whether or not that will be good for you. Now, if you are confused about an occupation choice, any steps of the career planning process, who do you talk to? And I will wait. I'm actually going to give you guys 1 minute in the text box to answer this question. Who would you talk to about any questions you have about career planning? Starting now. Awesome, you guys. Thank you for sharing. So you would ask your employment specialist, your career counselor, your job coach, okay? If you have any questions, any concerns about anything that you're researching in regards to occupation, job searching, career planning, any of that stuff, go to your career planner and hopefully we can help get you on the right path to where you would like to be. All right, you guys. Well, with that, we have come to the end of our workshop today. Join us on Thursday, and thank you for joining us today for the workshop, everybody. We are always happy to have you all participating with us every week. Also, please join us for the workshop discussion on Thursday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Just to remind you and let you all know, there is an online job fair happening from now to 3 p.m. today. I have posted the link for the job fair on our Facebook page. The directions for registering are posted below. If you have any questions in regards to this job fair or how to register or how to participate, now that workshop has been posted and it's rolling and it's going and I'm participating with you guys, I will also be answering any questions in regards to the job fair. So please feel free to ask me anything you need in regards to attending. I also want to remind you guys to like our videos after you have watched them. This is the best proof we have of you all having watched the videos we post if you aren't joining us during the watch party time. For those of you who have made previous arrangements with your staff about letting us know when you have watched the workshops, please continue to do what is planned for you specifically. Thanks everybody for watching with me and participating with me, and have a great, fantastic day.